It has to be frustrating if you're Laurel, doesn't it? Because even after all this time, you eventually realize that unless you're carrying something or someone along with you, no one really pays attention to who you are, what you represent, or what you're doing. You know what I mean. And that's where the issue with Meghan comes in. Quite frankly, she's an unmitigated disaster. I genuinely struggle to understand why anyone would choose to invite someone who has consistently proven to be a complete turnoff on a global scale. I'm not saying that to be cruel. Just look at Netflix. They're the biggest streaming powerhouse in the world. And if they can't make your project work, then realistically, what chance do you have? As I've mentioned before, what's particularly interesting about Netflix is just how angry they were with Lamar. She simply refused to promote anything. No chat shows, no interviews, nothing. She genuinely believed that her name alone, that she was such a big deal, would be enough to pull in an audience. Well, it wasn't, and that reality check landed like a slap in the face. Now, fast forward to recently, and we see Lamar suddenly appearing at a baseball game. And this is where things get clever, as I've pointed out before. Those seats weren't cheap by any stretch. They weren't casual tickets. They were front row, premium seats, the kind anyone would be thrilled to have. There are two clear reasons they managed to secure them, and it's actually very simple. In the celebrity world, it's all about grabbing attention. Just having the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, alongside the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, would certainly draw some interest, but not nearly enough of the spotlight they were aiming for. Latifah, as I've said before, is hugely successful in her own right, but she's not exactly headline-grabbing in the way they need. What really delivers the spectacle is inviting the Duke and Duchess of Disaster, because everyone knows that guarantees front-page coverage. Every move dissected, everywhere they went analyzed, the lot. But as always, there was trouble brewing behind the scenes during both of these recent appearances. Let me explain. Morning, CHS. Nice to see you. You all right? I'm not. It's getting a bit darker here, isn't it? Yeah, pretty grim now. I know, I only just noticed it myself looking in here. People walk past and, you can almost hear them thinking, who's he talking to? And do you know what really makes me laugh? People actually duck down, as if to avoid the camera, and you think, no, it's facing me. Why on earth would I be filming you? I do have a slightly warped sense of humor, as you can imagine. Recently, by the way, on Twitter, I think it must have been Kenny Everett's birthday. Do you remember him? A brilliant British radio disc jockey and comedian. I worked with him a couple of times. Lovely man. Incredibly inventive. Really inventive. If you've never checked him out, he was very much of his era. Absolutely huge in the 80s. And his television show was massive. Everyone talked about it. Just thinking about him brings back wonderful memories, actually. So as I say, if you're in need of cheering up, Kenny Everett is well worth a look. If you're in need of cheering up, you might... Oh, we haven't even had a wave, have we? You might enjoy this. Now, as you saw recently, LM Marl, you'll remember her swaying away at that 15% gala, which was, I believe, held in honor of Beyoncé's mother. And the thing about that, as I've said before, is that Meghan Markle is now viewed as the granny of the red carpet. She seems to receive invitations from the mothers rather than from the truly hip and happening crowd. People like Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, and that sort of circle. And didn't they absolutely tear it apart on that podcast? Right. What's interesting here is that hardly anyone had even heard of this particular charity until the Duchess of Disaster showed up. But the real story, as ever, lies behind the scenes. And again, I have to say, allegedly, there were quite a few issues because this was a double invite. This invitation was really meant for Prince Harry. They need him. They need that touch of ex-royal stardust. And suddenly, as I pointed out, Lamar appears on her own, gliding in with an assistant trailing behind, complete with a train, and of course, making absolutely sure that every eye in the room was firmly on her. Now, over at the baseball game, and this is the part I found particularly fascinating, according to a very solid source, they double-checked and then checked again, well ahead of arrival, that Prince Harry was definitely going to be there. You might assume they dressed casually. No, not at all. I'm told that Markle was very much dressed up and sparkling. Some even suggest she was showing off a newly refreshed engagement ring. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that Harry, dressed rather slovenly, hardly looked like he wanted to be there. because, quite frankly, he didn't. And as I've mentioned before, if he had to attend at all, what he really wanted was to bring his son Archie, mirroring, of course, Prince William, taking his child to football matches. No, unsurprisingly, that didn't happen either. And this is where the real problem now lies. If Marl has any hope of securing an invitation to the Met Gala, which I suspect will be extremely difficult, given that Anna Wintour already has her hands full deciding who should attend, especially with the new leadership changes. I've already told you how smoothly that is going. As a result, Marl remains hopeful. She genuinely believes that her appearances at the baseball game and the 15% charity event have helped turn the tide in her favor. But there's only one way she secures that ticket, and that's by guaranteeing 100% that Prince Harry accompanies her. That's who they're really interested in. Now, Michael, as you know, has never taken accountability for herself. It simply doesn't occur to her. Every single time she's needed to promote something, whether it was that chocolate bar, which people seem to forget was for Valentine's Day, she's had to wheel out Harry. She did it again in the trailer for her final Netflix Christmas special. You know the one. The kissing scene, because the executives made it clear, we need him. Without him, we've got nothing. Who even are these people? Where are the stars? And that's been building for quite some time now. If you're still not convinced this is how it really works, just look at this example. Remember the Cookie Queens? They were offered a first choice option at Netflix. They turned it down because they weren't interested. If Netflix ever does screen it, it'll likely be at a rock bottom price. Meanwhile, Marl keeps going back, emails, suggestions, asking whether it can be edited or reshaped to suit them. Because she has put some money into it, albeit not a great deal. But behind the scenes, Meghan Markle is discovering a hard truth. If you want invitations to the elite events she so desperately wants to be part of, there's one essential requirement. Not a designer dress, not a newly polished engagement ring. The only thing they want to see on her arm is the ex-royal, Prince Harry. And that's the sticking point she really struggles with, because she wants the attention firmly on herself. Ideally, if Harry could simply turn up, pose for the photographs, and then quietly disappear, that would be perfect. But as I was told by a source at that recent charity event, guest after guest came up to the table asking, "Where's Prince Harry?" And that, apparently, is what prompted Meghan Markle to leave the event earlier than planned. That's showbiz, right? Neil Shah, Kensington, London.